Hello. Hello, everybody. Greetings, peace, and power and elevation be to all of you. So, this is your girl Tiffany coming through here live in effect. Let me get myself settled in a little bit. All right, so this your girl Tiffany coming through here live in effect. And so today I want to talk about my clash with the Hebrew Israelite. So it started off May 13th of 2023, which was Saturday, yesterday. I happened to be in the downtown area because I was at an event that was taking place. So I was roaming through downtown and I was talking about uh, various parts of downtown, showing what was going on and talking a little bit about history, right? So as I'm walking down, I happened to look over where there was two Hebrew Israelites camp. Now, if you in the beginning of the video, right? Well, I had cut part of the video off, but the part one video that I did when I was walking, there was one set of Hebrew Israelites camp. I'm not sure who they were. Then, as I was walking further up with my camera, right, and when I got into like the middle part of downtown, there was another group of Hebrew Israelites. Okay, so now normally these group of Hebrew Israelites normally be outside every Saturday. All right. So I'm walking and I'm just walking, going up the hill, whatnot. And the guy see me with my turban on. All right, I had on like a different kente cloth turban. So he seen the turban and then he saw my camera. He was like, "Hey, I have a question for you." He stopped me. I was like, "No, I gotta keep going. I'm going. I gotta keep going because I'm just walking through downtown right now. I'm not trying to stop." So I was trying to avoid it. But he just kept calling me. He was like, "I have a question for you." I said, "Okay." So I came back. And so he started asking the question about West Africa and the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. So one of the questions he had asked me was about the bloodline lineage, etc. But before I go there, right? So I told him, I said, so he asked me, he said, "Well, where do slaves come from?" And I told him that, well, the slaves came up out the Central West Africa region. He's like, "Well, what's over there in Central West Africa?" And that's why I explained to him. I said, he's like, as far as the countries are concerned, I said, okay, you got Senegal, you got Ghana, you got Mali, you got Ivory Coast, you got the Congo area, just to name a few. Okay. He's like, they all one tribal people, right? They were different ethnic groups. And I said, okay, that's true. Which it is true. They are a different ethnic group. All right. Because when we talk about ethnic groups, they different tribes. All right. And I was trying to tell him that we are admixtures of multiple tribes. Okay. Us African Americans, we are the admixtures. Okay. We not consist of one tribes. We not consist of two tribes. We consist of multiple ethnic groups. See, what people have to understand, when the Africans came here to America, that's when they realized that, oh, we're treated as black. We're treated as Negroes. Okay? See, they were the first to be called niggers, Negroes, and all of that by Europeans. Prior to that, they didn't see themselves as just being one race. They saw themselves based on the tribes they came from. Okay? That's how they saw themselves, right? But when they got here to America, it was like all of that was done away. So they couldn't go around saying, well, I am a Khan, Yoruba, Igbo, or they couldn't say I'm Fulani, I'm Hausa. They couldn't use none of that anymore. Because once they got here in America, it's like, you a slave. And that's what people got to know. Okay? So in modern times, now you have a lot more Africans that's starting to come into this, and they starting to realize that, oh, we are just we're African people at the end of the day. Yeah, we come from different tribes. Yes, we come from different regions, but at the end of the day, we are African people, right? So, anyways, I was trying to get to that point with him so he could understand that. But they kept going back to the Bible. And see, this is why I don't like having conversations, especially with groups like Hebrew Israelites. I don't like to talk to them because they already got it made up in their mind that they want to debate. That's all they want to do. They don't want to just try to find out information or they want to learn something new. They want somebody that can go back and forth with them all day. And I didn't have the patience to do that all day. Okay. So if y'all saw that video, you will see that I was trying to get away multiple times. All right. But they kept coming back with some more information. I said, okay. And then what drove me crazy is the guy kept saying that, well, your tribe is based on your father lineage. I said, well, both your parents have lineage. You have a lineage from your mother, you have a lineage from your father. You carry both your mother's DNA and your father's DNA. You carry both your mother's chromosome and your father's chromosome. We carry 46 chromosomes as humans. Okay? So what I was trying to get him to understand is DNA. Let me tell y'all something. When it comes to science, right? Now, science cannot verify every single thing, but one thing about it is DNA doesn't lie. DNA does not lie. And that is something that you cannot dispute. You cannot dispute DNA because the DNA information in itself is like your genetic track record. It's your genetic track record. It keeps contact of everything that goes on with your body. It keeps contact of everything from the time you was in your mother's womb to all the way to the time you die. And even after you die, your DNA is still here. You may not be here physically, but your DNA remains here. There has been evidence where DNA was found on a cigarette. Okay, and I was looking at an article about this a long time ago. There was a DNA found on a cigarette, right? That was around probably about 200 years ago or something. It dated back 200 years. So if the cigarette was found, right, and that DNA information is still attached on there, that goes to show you that you can't get rid of it. If I was to touch something right now, I can put my finger on the wall, right? And that the DNA information that's transferred from my fingertip to the wall, it will stay on that wall. So no matter if somebody come along and paint the wall up or do anything to it, my DNA is still gonna be on there. Now, unless they tear everything down and remodel everything, that's a different story. But even with that, my DNA is still on there. So then one guy asked, well, why they can't track the information back to, why they can't track your DNA back to Israel? I said, well, it depends. And I meant to say it depends on your DNA information, not technology. However, technology is still advancing, okay? So it's a lot of things they have not covered, all right? So as far as your DNA is concerned, but we know that DNA won't lie. So what happens is that's why every 6 months, if you guys took the genetic test, right, there's always an update because there's more information being discovered about our genetics. Okay? There's more information being discovered. All right. So it's not that the DNA itself is a lie, it's that more information had to be discovered about your DNA. Okay? So if anybody, you could talk to anybody that's in the scientific field, anybody that's a geneticist, right? A biologist, or even somebody that's a bioanthropologist would tell you that it's hard to read DNA codes at times. DNA codes are not easy to read. You have to go to school, you have to study it. You have to learn how to deal with that carefully. You have to learn how to analyze things like that. Okay? So it takes time to gather up a lot of information. So that's why scientists or geneticists, they have to update on DNA tests, because they always discover something new. Again, it's not easy to read. It's not something that you can just pick up automatically and say, aha, there it go right there. No, you have to take your time with it. You have to take your time. And then it baffles me, because these are the same people that say they don't believe in DNA tests. Well, if you don't believe in DNA tests, then I bet you would go take a paternity test if you want to know the child is yours, right? I bet you would take that paternity test. That I bet you would. If you want to find out if the child is yours, then you'll start believing in DNA tests. Or perhaps these individuals ain't never, or perhaps these individuals ain't never watched, what's the name of that show? Forensic File. I guess they never watched Forensic File. Because Forensic File deals with nothing but DNA evidence. Otherwise, they would not be able to solve crimes without DNA. I would suggest people watch Forensic Files so they can learn how DNA work. All right? But see, that's not the part that gets me. They go by the biblical narrative. So they accuse me of believing the white man, right? Wait a minute, hold on. But you read in the Bible, which is written by the white man. And if you actually read the Bible closely, it has nothing to do with you per se. And if you read the Bible closely, you will understand that it's based on mythology. They're talking about nations, okay? It has nothing to do with your ancestors coming out the Central West Africa region. Now, before anybody say, well, you had some of our people, the greatest minds, the revolutionaries who were into Abrahamic religions. Yes, that's true. That's very true. A lot of them were, because that's all they had to fall on back in those time periods. That was a way to bring about spiritual liberation as opposed to political liberation, okay? So for many of them, it was spiritual liberation. Now, some of them, they will build an organization based off those holy scripture, if you will. Based off what the Torah, the Bible, or what the Quran say, whatever. They was building up organizations centered around those ideologies, right? But also there were those who were just reading just to gain some spiritual liberation. See, this is why people have to study Gnosticism. Because if people study Gnosticism, right, then they would get it and they would really understand the context of the Bible, the context of the Quran, and the context of the Torah. And not take everything for face value. This the problem. These individuals, they take stuff for face value and not question the narratives. Not do any research outside of, they stuck in the book. And this is why many of them go in circles. And what they're talking about is ethno-religion. Okay, they basing their identity off of ethno-religiology and not based off of DNA. So when they get to talking about being tribes of Judah and being from the tribe of Israel and all this other stuff, they basing it off of ethno-religion, not actual DNA evidence. Because if they took a DNA test right now, a lot of them will be surprised and shocked and find out that all them folks that they were dissing, them people they were talking about in West Africa, you come from those people. You come from those people from the central region. And you got a little bit of South Africa in you. You might have a little bit of East Africa, North Africa, and you may have some European. Well, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have European in you. Maybe not that much. Then it depends. But one thing, and the reason why I'm on here, because the brother, one of the guys, sat up there and said that West Africa didn't have civilization. Okay. West Africa didn't have civilization. So, where's the proof that there was no civilization in West Africa? So, I named the top three. I named the Ghana Empire, the Songhai Empire, the Mali Empire, and I also forgot to mention the Nok culture. Okay, because this guy has not only said that West Africa did not have civilization, but he said they did not have civilization prior to AD. All right, and that's a lie. That's a lie in itself. And then the other guy started talking about the Romans and slavery in 70 AD. So when I asked him, I said, well, where did our people come from then? Where did our people come from? He said, well, they were slaves. They were slaves, and we were slaves in Jerusalem. We were slaves in Jerusalem that escaped to West Africa. Really? Is that right? So you telling me that our people was enslaved in Jerusalem in 70 AD and they were running away from Jerusalem and going over to Central West Africa? Is that exactly what you telling me? Is that your logic? So that's why I said, well, according to this guy's logic, the transatlantic slave trade started in 70 AD. So when I tried to ask him, I said, well, when this slave trade started? He kept saying, well, we can't talk at the same time. You cut me off, this, that, other. I'm asking you a question. Why don't you answer my question? Well, I answered your question. Now, you tell me when the slave trade started. He couldn't tell me. He kept going on and on, babbling about how the Hebrew Israelite is a ethnic group in this day and other. He was going on and on about that. I said, I tell you what, it was nice talking to you. You have a good day. It was nice talking to you. Because I was not going to sit there all day and go in circles about the whole thing. And someone put into the comment section, which I understand where the sister was coming from. She was saying, at this point, our people are broken and they just need some healing. And we have to be a little bit more sympathetic, etc. I understand what she mean, and I know she meant well, but I also told her that, look, at this point, it's no excuse. Because where I was at in the area, we have 2 libraries, okay? We have 2 libraries in those areas. Now, one of those libraries, and we also have a museum, by the way, multiple museums, right? But we got 2 libraries. One of those libraries, right? One of those libraries is an African American research library that's only dealing with African American history only, and African history and other parts of the diaspora. And what's very interesting is they have events every they normally have events like every week or every month. They have different speakers coming through, different historians. So there's no excuse. And not to mention, it's free because it's ran by the city. So it's free. So there's no excuse. There is no excuse why you can't go to the library that deals with African history and the African diaspora. And you telling me you can't even go in there and look at some books. Now, you can't check the book out. That's one thing. They won't let you check the book out, but you can look at the references, get some information. You can go online. And they have their museum inside of the library. They have museum inside of there. Again, it's free. They open during the days. They open on the weekdays. They don't open on the weekends, I don't think. No, they don't open on the weekends. I know they open on the weekdays. So during the weekdays, right, when Y'all ain't got no classes, no services going on. Go to the library. Or when they have events, you can go there. As a matter of fact, they have a YouTube channel. I could type it in the session right now. It's called the Auburn Avenue Research Library. If anybody want to look it up, I will type it in the comment section right now. You can go type it up. You can subscribe to their channel. And they deal with a lot about history. They even deal with subjects that pertain to economics, social status, social economics, politics, history, science fiction, the STEM program. It's so many subject fields, so many subcategories. There is no excuse at this point. It's just people choose to live in a state of ignorance. They have this utopia idea or this utopia history about black people that they still going along with. A lot of them suffering from cognitive dissonance. And that is not a problem of mine. That's a problem of theirs. Because anytime you have to keep going back and forth with individuals over and over again, that goes to show that something is not only wrong with them, but it's something wrong with you as well. Because once you make your point and once you prove your argument, if that individual don't want to take the time out to do it for themselves, then that's on them. See, they used to folks sitting outside all day long arguing with them. Ain't nobody finna do that. I'm not finna do it. I'm not finna do it. I'm not finna sit out there and argue with you. I'm not gonna go back and forth. That's why I told them y'all need to do some homework assignment. That means take your ass to the library, get your ass off that street corner, and one of these days, go to the library or go online or go find some legitimate YouTube channels to look at history dealing with African people. You have to make the initiative. You have to take the time out to want to do your own homework assignment. Everybody can't do it for you. And then, people want to keep going back and forth and doing all these debates about the same subject. Why? The point has been proven. It's been proven for years. Ain't nobody gonna keep trying to drill it in your head when you don't want to listen. Same way with the so-called indigenous people, right? They want to keep going back and forth about how they indigenous to America and how they the real Native Americans and all of that. Okay, that's what you want to live with. That's on you. But don't come to me about it. Because you're not going to like my response. You're not going to like what I got to say. And I wish I had the sources with me, but I didn't because I wasn't thinking about bringing books with me and all of that. If I known that I was going to come across them, I would have had my sources and I would say, here, I'll give you the list of sources. This is what you need to read up. But I didn't. I was too busy enjoying myself, having a good day. And I come across this bullshit. And then what's ironic, these Hebrew Israelites don't get along with other Hebrew Israelites from different camps. Wait a minute, y'all don't get along with each other, but y'all talking the same shit. Same clothes. Well, excuse me. Same shit, different clothes. That's all it is. Same shit, different clothes. So how's that you can't get along with other Hebrew Israelites council when y'all talking the same shit? Y'all talking the same stuff. I would have thought that y'all would join forces together and come as one, but y'all at odds with each other. You don't believe me? Go look it up for yourself. ISUPK, IUIC, AOC, and all these other camps, they all don't get along with each other. Quite interesting. Quite interesting. Very interesting. But anyways, since we here, right? Since the claim about West Africa, they did not have civilization. And since I was accused of going along with the white man narrative, which is very ironic because they read the Bible or read the Torah, which is written by white people or Europeans themselves. But okay. Because, I mean, last time I checked, it wasn't written by somebody black. It wasn't written by black people. Last time I checked, black people didn't speak Hebrew. Like, they weren't the first people speaking Hebrew. They weren't the first people coming up with the Hebrew language. Okay? You know, Hebrew wasn't their native language. Although Hebrew is part of the Afro-Asiatic family, don't get me wrong. But last time I checked, the people from Central West Africa, they weren't speaking Hebrew. That's not their native tongue. But okay. But since they want to go there, I will give you a list of some black authors you can read from because obviously I was told that my information comes from the white man. All right. So let's look up this guy right here, Robin Walker. So Robin Walker is the author of Blacks in Science, Volume 2, West and East African Contribution to Science and Technology and Intellectual Life and Legacy of Timbuktu. This is Robin Walker. Let's see what he's talking about in this book. Okay. So, chapter 4, metallurgy. Metallurgy in the coastal states. Metallurgy, right? Hold on. Let me see if I can kind of put it over here. If y'all can see that. It says metallurgy was always a highly skilled and specialized craft. The associated skills include the difficult and dangerous skill of mining and the sophisticated skill of prospecting. Some of the earliest metallurgical evidence in West Africa includes a group of iron and copper tools excavated in Senegal dated at 2800 BC. But I thought they didn't have civilization. Hold on. Also, iron smelting in Nok, ancient Nigeria, by 2000 BC. At the Nok sites, blast furnaces and was it Toyores or to how you say it? To Yores, if I'm saying it right. Excuse me, sorry. All right, but anyways, it says furnaces and Toyores were found. So Toyores are pipes used to conduct air and thus raise temperatures in the metal smelting process. All right. So in this book, this man spoke about the note culture. Okay. All right. And he even said the metallurgy was excavated in Senegal that dated 2800 BC. So first of all, what we have to understand, in order to have civilization, right, you got to have people. People make up civilization. Without people, there will be no civilization, right? There will be no civilization. But anyways, let's look up what is the note culture. I'm quite sure that they came across this as well, but you can't tell people nothing. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's look into this real quick. All right, let me go ahead and let me post that screen up. Now, to verify this, what did it say? The note culture was one of the earliest known society of Western Africa. It existed in modern day Nigeria from around 500 BCE to 200 CE. Okay. The Noke farmed crops and used iron tools. Historians and archaeologists refer to this culture as the Noke culture because artifacts were first discovered near the modern Nigerian town of Noke. Noke culture is known for its unique terracotta sculptures and its early iron working. Okay. Now, let's go down. Let's skip down. It says another important characteristic, well, archaeologists have analyzed the clay used by Note people in their sculptures and discovered that all the clay likely came from the same source, suggesting that a central authority controlled the supply. Note sculptures have been found across an area over 78,000 square kilometer, suggesting these artists, although they received their clay from a central source, were part of an expansive civilization. Okay, so another important characteristic of note culture is their use of iron technology. There is evidence of iron working in the region dating back to at least the 4th century BCE and possibly even earlier. So, in the village of Taruga, Nigeria, archaeologists have found no fewer than 13 iron smelting furnaces. Okay, archaeologists have also discovered other iron artifacts from the Noke like farming tools and weapons. However, while the Noke certainly had iron smelting technology, they also used stone tools as well as metal, which suggests that metal materials were sacred and not widespread. Okay. Oh, excuse me. They were scarce and not widespread. The Noke are significant for being one of the very few civilizations in the world that transitioned from stone tools straight to iron tools without first learning how to make copper and bronze tools. So it says the legacy of the Note people is difficult to determine due to the mystery around their identity and origin. Some believe that the Note artistry influenced the beautiful metalwork of the Ife people who later lived in the area of Nigeria. The Ife people who lived around the 11th and 15th century CE were famous for detailed and lifelike metal sculptures of human heads. However, it is still unclear whether the Noke art and metalworking influenced later African society like the Ife, aside from what we can learn from their terracotta artwork. Most detail of Noke culture, society, and social organization remain unknown. All right. So again, it's a lot of information they will have to discover as far as learning more about the Noke people. But as we could see, according to this information, the Noke culture was around 500 BCE to 200 CE. Okay. All right. So that in itself show and prove that West Africa has civilization. I don't know why people think that West Africa did not have no civilization or they didn't deal with science. Obviously, these people dealt with science because they wouldn't be dealing with stones. They wouldn't be doing iron smelting. They wouldn't do none of that if they wasn't dealing with science. And the Hebrews were not the first ones to say that either. There's multiple people, even the people that's calling themselves being very conscious and being very educated. They themselves even said that the West African people were not as scientifically advanced. Oh, I done heard it all. So I guess according to the Hebrews that the West African people were nothing more than a bunch of barbarians. They didn't have no civilization. They were some barbarians, according to them. That's basically what you're saying. And that's a faulty logic right there. That's very faulty. All right. And see, and then also you can check this book out called The Rebirth of African Civilization by Chancellor Williams. By Chancellor Williams. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Again, you don't want to believe what the white man said here. Check this book out. And what's funny, watch this. Watch this. So, although he doesn't get too much into the note culture, but he talk about Ghana. He talk about Ghana a lot in his book. He said, we meet the African people, right? A pleasant land of drowsy head it was. So this is Africa. The ship moved slowly into the harbor at the Tokoradi Sinkondi. The rustle and bustle of unloading the cargo was underway when the passengers began to land. We went through custom quicker than anywhere else. For the first time, did not feel suspect of some crime. Outside and into the city, we were totally unprepared for the urban Africa, automobiles dashing everywhere. Okay, so block long traffic jams, double decker buses, etc. All right, so let's see what else he talks about. So this is him talking about his visit to West Africa. Okay, in his book. I'm trying to find something else in here. Let's see what Chancellor Williams talking about in here. All right, so right here in chapter 3, he talk about in Kawazu, a community study. So our study of Nkwazu, a typical African community, was an afterthought. No such undertaking was considered necessary because we had almost completed the 3-year survey of African opinion, covering every level of life from the humblest domestic servants to high officialdom. And we were persuaded that in the light of this survey, we knew full well what the people of the country felt and believed. The general direction they wanted to go seemed equally clear. What more then? Right? So it goes on to say, Nkwasu is a typical community of Ghana in so far as the major problems of our study are concerned. In certain other respect, we found few places that could probably be called typical unless the term is immediately qualified. We have said that the villages are Ghana and that Nkwasu is a typical town have qualified the use of that term. For even in this town, there are communities within the community, and what is said of Nkwasu as a whole would not apply to the community formed by people from northern Ghana, and the non-Muslim from the same area have still another story. Typical here then means what is generally true, the overall picture. Okay. So basically, he talks about his visit into West Africa, right? And I'm quite sure when Chancellor William went to West Africa, he didn't go around with the mentality that, oh, the West African people did not have civilization and they was a bunch of barbarians. I'm quite sure he went there with an open mind to actually learn about the culture. But I ain't gonna go too much further in this book, but hey, you can check this book out for yourself. Here's another book. This book right here is written by a sister named Leah Penniman. All right. Leah Peterman wrote this book called Black Earth Wisdom, Soulful Conversation with Black Environmentalists. Now, this is interesting. This book is very interesting. Watch this. I want to share some with y'all. All right. So she talk about West African sacred grove protectors, right, from 300 BCE to present. Among the Akan of Ghana, the sacred forest groves are the dwelling place of spiritual beings known as Abazum or Asaman, was it Asamanfo? Yeah, Asamanfo, children of the supreme being Oname. One such sacred grove outside of Kamazi called Asante Maso is the place believed by the Asante to be the location where the first human beings came forth from the ground. Community members elevated a forest area to a sacred grove through a process of consecration. A specific area is identified as a point of contact between the invisible and human worlds, right? And the spiritual entities are invited into a ritualized alliance. All right. So it goes on to say that, skip down. It says they are home to the West African mud creeper, the black heron, and three species of turtle, with over 80% of the region's turtle nests occurring in sacred groves. Not limited to Ghana, 2,940 sacred groves have been enumerated in Benin, where species richness is higher in these groves than in government protected forest reserve. Sacred groves across the continent of Africa are foundational to ecosystematic and cultural preservation. So maybe, but I guess again, people say that West Africa didn't have no civilization, and that means that they didn't deal with no science either. I guess people think civilization. I guess people think civilization is supposed to send around kings and queens all day, and that's not the case. See, that's not what really make a civilization because you got kings and queens. I mean, they do play a part, but what is a civilization without pastoralists? What is a civilization without agriculturalists? What is a civilization? If you don't have a pastoralist, agriculturalist, right, then you don't have a civilization. Because everybody wasn't a king and a queen. Let's get over that reality. All right, let's get over that reality. Everybody is not kings and queens. We all didn't come from kings and queens. Some people were clergymen. Some people was peasants. Some people were agriculturalists, pastoralists. Some people were spiritualists, gurus. But I guess West Africa didn't have civilization, right? So basically, they had to be barbarians. Basically, right? Lord have mercy. I mean, it's quite interesting to me. It is very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Let's go into the part where it says sub-Saharan African originates of crop rotation from 300 BCE to the present. So it says farmers in Western and Southern African originated Sweden agriculture, also called the bush fallow system or shifting cultivation. In the Sweden system, short periods of agricultural production 1 to 2 years are followed by long fallow periods 6 to 25 years. During the fallow period, the forest regrows, sending its deep roots into the soil to recycle nutrients, build up organic matters, and store carbon. But again, I guess the people in West Africa didn't have no civilization. They weren't doing nothing. I don't get it. The roots prevented erosion, increasing the infiltration of water and reduce runoff. So the Sweden practices sequester nearly 750,000 tons of carbon per 7,500 acre, while the burning only release 400 to 500 tons, a ratio that puts industrial agriculture to shame. Sweden agriculture uses the forest as a cover crop, a technology that was adapted into the modern organic movement to use annual crops as cover. Traditional pastoralists such as the Volupe, Labe, and Futa Jalon also developed rotational glazing. This practice involved pasturing livestock on land before converting it to rice and crop cultivation, which made the soil exceptionally fertile. In areas of low human population density, these rotational systems are unparalleled in their sustainability. But I guess I just want to know what people' idea of civilization is. What people' idea of civilization is. So if you think civilization is supposed to just have kings and queens and people in those higher positions, that's not civilization. There's more to it. There is more to it. And don't tell me that, oh, this has nothing to do with civilization. It does. It has a lot to do with civilization because you're talking about agriculture here. You're talking about pastoralism. You're talking about people that's keeping crops alive. That's what you're talking about. So don't sit here and tell me that agriculturalism and pastoralism has nothing to do with civilization. But again, I don't know what to tell y'all, man. But here, now I know a lot of y'all should know about this book right here, The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor William. I mean, and of course he goes into a little bit details about West Africa. But I ain't gonna go into this book. So, but if you don't have this book, you better make sure you got it. Let's see. So this book right here is called When the World Was Black, The Untold History of the World's First Civilization by Supreme Understanding. All right. So now here's the interesting thing. This author, he's not black, nor is he white. He's actually South Asian. Okay, he's South Asian. His family either they from Bangladesh or India, one of those countries. Okay. But he wrote this book. All right. Now, if you guys get this book here, it goes into details about civilizations. All right. And there's reference sources in this book as well. You can look up references online. You can go to the back of the book and find the references. But let y'all tell it. West Africa had no civilization. Let y'all tell it. West Africa had no civilization. But here's a book y'all can look into. All right. When the World Was Black, The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor William. Black Earth Wisdom by Leah Penniman. Okay. The Rebirth of African Civilization. Blacks and Science, Volume 2. Let's see. Black People Invented Everything by Dr. Sujan Kumar Das. So again, this is written by the same author, okay, but he's using his real name in this book, which is also known as Dr. Supreme Understanding, okay. So he wrote about Black people inventing everything. So Black people from the continent of Africa to here in America. But then let y'all tell it again. There was no civilization. There's no civilization. Okay. There was no civilization at all. West Africa had no civilization. They had nothing. They had nothing to show for. They were just some random individuals. I mean, let me ask this question to the Hebrews real fast. So for those of you that are watching, what did the Hebrews bring to West Africa? If West Africa did not have civilization, what did the Hebrews bring? What type of skill setting did they bring? What did they contribute to West Africa? What did they contribute? That's what I would like to know. If West Africa did not have a civilization, what did the Hebrews bring to West Africa to help build up its civilization? And if they did contribute, where can the evidence be proven? Where are the sources at? Where is the sources? And then also the word Hebrew, I mean not the word Hebrew, the word Israel, or what we call Israel today, that did not exist until 1945. Because prior to that, there was no Israel. And tell me, how do you explain the conflict between Israel and Palestine? How do you explain the conflict between Israel and Palestine and they fight over land? How do you explain that? And also, to those Hebrew Israelites, why do you not have a network with the brothers and sisters over there in Dimona, Israel? Why don't you have a network with the brothers and sisters over there that are Ethiopian Jews? Why don't you have a network with them? Why are you not trying to build or connect with those people? There are Hebrew Israelites in Dimona, Israel right now. I have not heard anything from these particular Israelites, the ones that be on the street corner, hooping and hollering, yelling at people and all. I have not seen or I have not heard anything about them going over there to Israel and trying to build a network with the people in Dimona. At least I can give them credit. I can give them credit. And they are not as bad as the rest of y'all. These people are actually doing something. And these people really know their history. Now, there might be things I might disagree with, but I could say one thing: they know some history. They know some history. Especially when it comes to African American history. And see, the Hebrew Israelite camp that I was a part of at one point in time, they were non-Messianic Hebrews, meaning that they did not believe in the concept about Jesus. They did not go by the New Testament. They went by the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses. They call themselves the Afro-Asiatic Hebrew Israelites. That's what they were. So they was very African-centered. Very African-centered people. So when I hear about these particular Israelites on the streets, I get so disgusted. I get disgusted and I wonder, why do people constantly waste their time going back and forth with these individuals when they got it programmed in their head? When they already got a program and they already know what their mindset is going to be. And you know that these people are not going to change their minds. They're not trying to learn anything. They just want to stroke their own egos. Be the intellectual masturbators. They're not trying to come out of their comfort zone. You wasting your time. You're wasting your time with these individuals. They don't care. They want to prove themselves to be right, but they lack evidence. They lack evidence. But it's quite interesting to me. Quite interesting. It's quite interesting. I don't know what to say anymore. But I know one thing. I don't feel sorry for these folks. I don't feel sorry for none of them. I don't. I just sit back and laugh. I sit back and laugh because all the information that we have out today, it should be no excuse. It should be no excuse why people cannot do the research. You can go on Amazon and purchase books. You can go to the thriftstorebooks.com and purchase book. You can go to the abebooks.com and purchase book. And if you still got Barnes and Nobles at your location, whatever you are, whatever cities you live in, you can go and purchase book. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. And there's plenty legitimate scholars out there. I don't even want to hear nothing about, well, there's not good scholars out there. There's the European information, the white folks, this, that, other. I hate that. It drives me crazy. It gets on my last nerves. So everything gotta be sent around the Europeans. So you giving all the credit to the European as if our black people haven't done anything. As if our black people have not done any research. That's disrespectful in itself. That's really disrespectful in itself to basically say that our people have not done anything in the academic field. But I'm supposed to sit here and feel sorry for these individuals? I'm not. I'm not going to feel sorry for those type of individuals because that shows me they don't give a fuck. And then speaking of Robin Walker, you can find another one of his book, Blacks in Science, Volume 1. That's dealing with ancient Egyptian history. And we ain't gonna go there with the argument about ancient Egypt, so we gonna leave that one alone. Blacks in Science, Volume 3, African American Contribution to Science and Technology. A person put, they are West African. That's true. We know that. I know that. I know that for a fact. We are Central West African. But there's people that's going to deny that until they blue in the face. Boy. They going to deny it until they blue in the face. Man, listen. listen here. And if you want to reach out to me and you need some information, some books, I can get you some books. That's no problem. I can get some books for individuals if they really want to learn. Man. Oh boy. I don't see how some of y'all can do it. I don't see how people can do it. I don't see how certain individuals can go back and forth with these type of groups for 3 or 4 hours. I don't see how. I don't see it. I don't understand it for the life of me because I can't do it. I would lose patience after a while. I can't do it. Okay, you won. You got your argument. Go ahead. Go on about your business. That's how I would feel. At the end of the day, I'll be overwhelmed. I'll be drained. After going back 3 or 4 hours, I'm not gonna do that shit. You're not gonna drain my energy with that bullshit. Nope. And I wasn't finna let them do it yesterday either. I was not finna let them drain the fuck out of me. You not going to drain my energy. No, 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 no. You not going to do it. No. I'm not gonna let no Hebrew Israelites, no goddamn comedic folks, no damn indigenous people, no Moors, no none of them. They not gonna drain my energy. It's like, what do you want? What else do you want people to do? Do you want people to create a utopia? Do you want people to create a lie, a false narrative to accommodate your emotions? I mean, what do these people really want folks to do? I can't create no narrative. I'm sorry. I'm not going to create no utopia. I'm not going to sit up here and make up no bullshit just to make somebody feel good. I can't do it. And that's what's wrong with people now. This is why people are not getting anywhere because of the false narrative, of the romanticism. I'm not going to romanticize shit. It is what it is. Okay? So, for those of you that's walking around with the self-hate, that's your problem. That is your fucking problem. I don't know exactly why. Maybe you don't like the events that took place in West Africa. Maybe. Maybe you don't like the event that took place in Central Africa. Maybe. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. So what we supposed to do? We supposed to just try to erase all of our information or majority of our information that consists of those people that come from those regions and just create something? No. I'm not going to do that. And same with the ADOS and LBA. I'm not going to do it. If you guys just want to be simply American and you don't want to have no ties with the African heritage, that heritage that makes up who you are, not the American part, but the African part that makes up who you are. Those African people that were brought here from their homeland against their own will, and they was forced here to work. They were forced here to labor. They were forced here to live. They had to take all the abuse. If you want to deny those people, you want to deny their history, that's on you. If you want to create some narrative to make yourself feel good, that's on you. But I'll tell you this, DNA doesn't lie. That's the only thing I can say. DNA doesn't lie. But anyways, y'all, thank you guys for tuning in, watching. I just wanted to come on here and just pretty much talk about my experience with these Hebrew Israelites. And hopefully I don't ever encounter this shit again. I don't ever run into this kind of problem again in person. Because I don't want to keep going back and forth. I don't want to go into this secular argument. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to waste my time. Nope. It's beyond me. Now, maybe 10 years ago, no problem. But now, nope. Because it's getting old. It's getting old. And it's no excuse. There are sources out there. There's information available. You got to do it for yourself. Ain't nobody else going to do it for you. All right, y'all. So y'all take it easy. Peace and power elevation. And please make sure you check out the other videos on my channel. And I will keep you guys posted when the next time I'll do another subject, another topic. But until then, y'all be safe. All right. Peace.